Okay, in this video, I'm going over what I think the matchups to make after UFC 322 are. I'm only going to be going over the fighters on the main card of UFC 322. There's a lot that happened. Terrible main event and co-main event, but the first three fights were extremely good finishes. So, we're going to go over every fighter on the main card, and I have some juicy matchups made for them going forward. And we're going to start with the winner of the main event of UFC 322, Islam Makhachev. So, he got his boring ass garbage decision over Jack Della Maddalena. Very impressive, dominant performance, still extremely boring. And anybody who likes it, I don't understand their reasoning whatsoever. But in general, he is an exciting fighter. This was his only really boring fight. It's just a bad style. In my opinion, it's just a boring style. But he usually doesn't have that style, and he's usually pretty fun. And he is now the welterweight champion, which is crazy. He's a double champ. It's weird to think about. And one or two fights away from being the GOAT of the UFC, I would say. And I have a juicy, very juicy matchup made for him. I think that we should do the insane, super double champ title fight of Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev at welterweight. I think we give Ilia Topuria the shot at 3 belts, and I think we give Islam the chance to defend himself against this backlash that Ilia is bringing towards him. This is one of the biggest fights in UFC history. It's one of the biggest fights you can make. It's probably the biggest fight in UFC history. I mean, two double champs have never even come close to the same matchup whatsoever. And now we'll get one, both in their prime, both have a belt, both have a chance to win. At welterweight, I would pick Islam Makhachev to win, probably. Not 100% about that, though. But at lightweight, I'd probably pick Ilia. I'm not going to lie. I really like Ilia's grappling, and his power on the feet is no fucking joke, obviously. I'd probably pick Ilia Topuria to beat Islam at 155. But at 170, it seems like Islam has a stupid strength advantage over these guys. And Ilya's so small. So at 170, I'd pick Islam to ragdoll him. Probably still be competitive to a degree, more competitive than Jack Della Maddalena versus Ilya, just because of that Georgian wrestling, that real hardcore, actually good wrestling the Jordans that the Georgians have. I'd pick that to do a little bit better than Jack Della Maddalena at welterweight, but I'd still pick Islam to win probably. But this is the best fight pretty much of all time. It's the superstar of today's age versus the insane dominant force of today's age. It's the Khabib Conor of today. And it's probably wouldn't do as well just because it's a different time and we'll never get a star like Conor McGregor again in the UFC ever. But it's the biggest thing you can make right now because Pereira Aspinall probably doesn't have as much hype now after Aspinall's eye poke fiasco, and John Jones versus Pereira doesn't have a lot of hype because John Jones is gay and dumb and bad and a cheater and retired just to come back and beg Dana for that fight. So in terms of super fights, this is it. This is it. This is the best one by far. I'd pay money, a lot more than $80 to see this fight. But I'm so glad I won't have to if this fight actually goes through. I'm so glad I don't have to pay for another pay-per-view. I'm one of the only motherfuckers alive that doesn't pirate it because I feel weird about it. Because I don't want it to glitch. And then ESPN glitches anyway, and I still fucking miss Mauricio Ruffy wheel kicking Beneil Dariush out cold, and it's whatever. I'm glad we're going to Paramount. But yeah, there's obviously contenders at welterweight for Makhachev. But there's a little logjam in welterweight that I'll get to in this video that I think needs to be cleared up before we give Islam to a contender at welterweight. But next, we have the co-main event. Oh no, next we have the loser of the main event, Jack Della Maddalena. Coming off a loss, devastating loss, dominant. I wish he would have gotten KO'd. It would have been less embarrassing. But we have Jack Della Maddalena, and we're going to clear up welterweight a little bit. It's a little tricky, the welterweight division right now, because of how many people kind of deserve a title shot and are one fight away from deserving a title shot, and so on. I think Jack Della Maddalena should fight Shavkat Rakhmonov because Rakhmonov has not fought in fucking forever. He arguably deserves a title shot because he beat Ian Gary, and that's impressive, especially if he beats Bilal next weekend. But he doesn't deserve a title. He can't. You can't give Shavkat Rakhmonov a title shot right now. You just can't do it. He's been too inactive. He's been out of the game for way too long. He's still injured, I think. And Jack Della Maddalena didn't take any damage whatsoever. So, timing-wise, this works out. Matchup-wise, extremely fun. We have a chance to test Jack's grappling again. If he's improved, he will show it in this fight because Shavkat will take him down. If he gets troubled on the feet at all, he will go for a takedown and he will get it because he's strong. If Jack has improved in the takedown defense and proves that he can hang with these top guys, these top grapplers, then we can start having the conversation about Jack again. But until he fights a grappler or someone that's good at grappling, like to a degree, I'm never going to consider him for the belt ever again, just because of how embarrassing that fight was for him. And it's so sad I have to say that because I love Jack. I love him so much. But this is a very intriguing matchup because I could see, even though Islam did what he did, I could see Jack picking up some tricks. Maybe he got injured in the Islam fight, you never know. Being able to stuff some takedowns. And on the feet, this is a blast. And yeah, the reason I'm not giving him a Sean Brady is because I don't think Sean Brady. I think Sean Brady should fight down. And I also believe that Sean Brady is going to need a lot of time off. He's been KO'd out cold by Morales, and he's going to need to come back at a different time. And Jack Del Maddalena needs to come back quickly, I think. And Shavkat, if he recovers from his fucking injury by like for any ever, then we can do this matchup, and it'll be fireworks, and it will earn Shavkat a title shot, or it'll get Jack right in the title elimination picture. I just think Sean Brady needs some time off. Jack doesn't. He needs to get right back in there. And Shavkat has been on ice for fucking forever, and he needs to get in there. And this matchup would be really fun to watch. So yeah, Shavkat versus JDM is what I think is next for him. And we'll move on to Valentina Shevchenko, the winner of the co-main event of the women's title fight. Valentina Shevchenko, I'm not going to go into great detail. There's really only one person to go with. There's one person that deserves a title shot in that division, and it's Natalia Silva. You give Natalia Silva the title shot. It's the only way to do it. Natalia Silva is super fun. She's actually a technical striker, like fun women's fighter that is actually good. And she might give Valentina Shevchenko problems. In the grappling, I don't know if I trust it. But on the feet, I think Natalia can beat Valentina Shevchenko. So, it's the only fight to make. So we make it, basically. And it would be pretty fun. And I would hope Natalia would win. Because Shevchenko has proven to be the most boring motherfucker on earth. Next, Zhang Weili. So I don't think Zhang Weili should move back down to her normal division. I really don't think so. I think she should stay up at the weight class Valentina is in. And I think she should fight a contender and try to work her way back up to the title. I know she got kind of fucking dominated. But if she moves back down, it's not a lot of hype. Her versus Mackenzie Dern, I guess, could happen, but I don't know if I want to see it. I think we need a Mackenzie Dern era at that weight class, and I think Zhang has proven that she can win in that weight class and probably beats Mackenzie Dern and dominates and stays champ, but that's boring. I think she should test waters in this new division a little bit more and fight Alexa Grasso, who's also a contender that Valentina Shevchenko has lost to and beat. And she's a big name. Zhang, it would be a hyped up fight. Everybody likes Alexa Grasso. Everybody likes Zhang Weili. It'd be like a wholesome fight. And I'd probably, I don't know who I'd pick to win, but Zhang has a really good shot of winning this one. It's an approachable matchup. I don't know about scheduling wise if it makes much sense, to be honest, but they like to keep women's fighters on ice often anyway. Really the only matchup I could think for Zhang Weili that is cool and makes any sense whatsoever. So yeah, next. Michael Morales. So he knocked out Sean Brady in spectacular fashion in his fight. He definitely earns a title shot, but you can't really give him one because so many people have earned a title shot. So I think Michael Morales should fight the other contender on this card that got a vicious knockout in round 2 against Leon Edwards, Carlos Prates. I think you match the two top contenders with vicious knockouts, two superstars in the making. You match them together, and you see who comes out on top. And then the winner of this can look for the title. Put him on ice for the title. I think this is the perfect way to do it. You do this not super early. You give it a little bit of time so that if Ian Gary destroys Bilal Muhammad, we can maybe look for that matchup between Ian Gary and who the fuck is champ? Islam. Between Ian Gary and Islam. And then also, if Jack Della Maddalena beats Shavkat in that meantime, you can do Ian Gary versus Jack maybe. or you can maybe do the rematch between Ian Gary Shafkat if that makes any sense at all. Or if the Ilya Taporia thing doesn't work out whatsoever, Ian Gary's right there for that super fun fight between Ian Gary and Islam. It's probably a lot of pay-per-view share, probably sells a lot of pay-per-views. But both of these fighters, I would say, are one fight away, or like could get a title shot, maybe couldn't, and they're both crazy knockout artists, and they both have a ton of fucking hype after this last pay-per-view. And yeah, I think Protest would probably win, but you can't really know for sure. I really trust in Protest's power right now, but overall, like this matchup would be really hard to predict, which I like about it, and it would definitely just skyrocket hype. It would be a sick fucking matchup that everybody would like, and that way you don't like, I don't know, give them a weird matchup against somebody that nobody really gives a shit about. Like I wouldn't want to see Morales Usman. He's proven he can beat the like old motherfucking type fighters of this division. I think you put two of the ferocious finishers of the division against each other. And then that title fight afterward is insanely hype. I think that's what you have to do. Next, Sean Brady, the loser of Michael Morales versus Sean Brady. I think that Sean Brady, I don't think you give him any favors. Like, I don't think you give him like an up and coming guy either. I don't know. Sean Brady's in a weird spot right now because he beat Leon Edwards. He got knocked out by Bilal. He beat Gilbert Burns. In hindsight, those wins aren't very good to me, to be honest. But I think there's one other person that doesn't really have a fight with the way I've cooked up the welterweight division, and it's Kamaru Usman. I think you just do this fight. If you wanted to, you could do Kamaru Usman versus a loser of Bilal Muhammad versus Ian Gary, and that would also make a lot of sense. But depending on what happens in that fight, I think you just book Sean Brady versus Usman. Scheduling wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I really just don't know what to do with Sean Brady because I've already matched up Leon with the other guy in welterweight that I have any thought about. And the only other matchup that I could think, which doesn't work scheduling wise at all, but would be a really cool fight, is Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. Even though they'd be giving Joaquin Buckley a favor that he has not earned whatsoever, I think that would be a fight you could do, I guess, if you want to try to introduce Sean Brady to the rankings in an approachable way again. But Joaquin Buckley has been out for a long time, and I feel like they're going to give him a matchup soon, while Sean Brady needs some fucking time after that knockout. And Usman is the type of motherfucker to sit on ice and wait for fucking ever for a fight, I think. And welterweight's pretty much stocked up. So maybe you do Usman versus the loser of Ian Gary Bilal if it's not crazy damage. Because Bilal versus Usman would be a sick fight. I don't know. Maybe you do Usman versus Morales or some shit. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the most hype matchups, and it doesn't involve Brady or Usman. So I just thought put them together and have them fucking make a boring garbage fight out of whatever they decide to do. I'd probably pick Usman, to be honest. But you never know. How shit is Usman to lose to Leon Edwards? So you never really know. But yeah, that's the matchup I've made for Sean Brady. Next, Leon Edwards, the man who lost to Mike Protest by knockout viciously. He's going to need some time. But someone else who's fought recently, who can kind of keep on ice because welterweight upstairs has a lot going on right now. He got a sick fucking knockout in I think last weekend's main event. Gabriel Bonfim. I think you just match these two up. I don't think you give Leon anyone super far down the rankings. Gabriel has a lot of hype now. He wasn't super hyped up before. Like he was the Bonfim brother thing was the only thing he really had until that knockout. I really thought of him as a super lame hugging master before that knockout, but he really showed that he's improving on the feet and knocked out Roundy Brown bad, which is impressive. So I think Gabriel Bonfim can get another spectacular highlight KO over Leon Edwards. But given enough time, this is an approachable matchup for Leon 100%. Leon, I like to shit on Leon a lot, but he is super technically sound, a very good fighter. He's very good. He's a very capable, athletic man who is smart at the game. He just doesn't. I don't think he has the fighter spirit or the durability or the mindset for this sport long run against these guys coming up. And I think you probably lose by KO to Gabriel Bonfim. I'm not gonna lie. I just sense Leon Edwards' trajectory going down the toilet for the rest of his career until he retires. And I predicted this directly after the Bilal loss because I've always thought Leon was just kind of shit, and the old welterweight division was just kind of shit. The fact that I don't think Kamaru Usman is the GOAT of welterweight whatsoever after what I've seen. And maybe just everybody's getting old and it's just the cycle of it all. But I don't know. Everybody's kind of these new guard are making these these older welterweights look like dog shit. But it could be an age thing, but I don't know. And Gabriel Bonfim is one of these up and coming guys who looks very good. Just got a sick knockout. Leon just got chinned. He's gonna get chinned again. Is my math for that. But yeah, it's really the only matchup that makes sense for me in terms of Leon Edwards. unless you want to give him some weird bullshit prize fight or something. I don't think so though. I think you give him Gabriel Bonfim later in the like middle of the next year. Yeah, next we have Benoit Saint Denis. He just knocked out Beneil Dariush in the first 16 seconds of their fight. Extremely impressive. I I kind of think Beneil's chin's just done. I think it's just he's old. He's probably never going to win another fight again. Same with Leon. You can beat Renato Moicano because I don't know. Renato's so hit or miss. MMA math is being really weird lately because Renato fucking destroyed Beneil or destroyed Benoit. The Beneil goes out there and decisions Moicano easily. Ugh, such a confusing sport. But Benoit destroyed Beneil 16 seconds. Has a ton of hype. I kind of forgot who I matched him up with. Dan Hooker. Oh yeah. Okay. Next weekend, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker takes place. I'm gonna predict that Arman Tsarukyan ragdolls Dan Hooker to a decision or maybe submits him. I'm gonna predict that happens. And the loser of that, being Dan Hooker in this scenario, can fight Benoit Saint-Denis, coming off a knockout over Beneil. Up the rankings wise, it makes a lot of sense. Hype wise for the fight, it's super fun. I think this would be a scrap. I think Benoit would try to grapple a lot, but I wouldn't think he would have a lot of success. I probably would pick Dan Hooker. Depending on what happens with him and Tsarukyan, I would still probably pick Dan Hooker because he did very well against Gamrot, who I rate way better of a grappler than Benoit Saint Denis. I still think Saint Denis has so many holes in his game, and his performance with Moicano, Poirier, even Ruffy, he just looks so slow, and it seems like someone with any takedown defense at all that can keep a pace like a Poirier or Moicano, I guess. Like Dan Hooker, it seems like the guy that can stuff a couple takedowns and beat the shit out of Benoit, but it does seem like Benoit is getting better in this department. And he's also being smarter about it, going for the takedown quickly and using his skill set, what he knows, even though he could be considered more boring. He knows his chin's not the best. He knows he's kind of slow. I think he's utilizing the grappling and trying to make people tired very quick in fights, which is smart. And he could do that to Dan Hooker, but I kind of doubt it. I think Gamrot is a way better grappler than Benoit Saint Denis, and Dan Hooker did really good against him, like I said. But if this doesn't work out or Dan Hooker wins, maybe you do Benoit versus Arman. But if not, if those matchups don't work out, you can do Rafael Fiziev versus Benoit, and that makes a lot of sense as well, rankings wise, and they're on similar schedules, and it would be a good fight. I'd probably pick Fiziev. I like Fiziev's takedown defense. But yeah, Benoit next. Beneil Dariush, the final matchup I have to make, is coming off of a 16-second knockout. Just destruction for fucking Beneil Dariush. Very sad to see him go out like that. But I think he should go outside of the rankings for his next matchup. I think we should give this guy another shot at the rankings. Coming off a win against Mazus Rebecki, Ludovic Klein. I think Ludovic Klein got beat by Gamrot. It was competitive, but it was clearly Gamrot. And then Ludovic Klein was coming off another fucking fight where it was very fun. He dominated the most of it. He broke his ankle and was able to survive the fight basically because Rebecki's retarded and didn't just stand up and let it be finished. But Ludovic Klein's proven that he's great at fighting, very technical, and he did good against Gamrot. He lost. I think you introduce him to the rankings again in a more approachable matchup in Beneil Dariush. And I think Ludovic Klein fucking destroys him and knocks him out. And then we have a cool contender in Ludovic Klein coming up who has proven to be technically sound. I don't really think there's I couldn't find another matchup that I like that I would like to see scheduling wise either in the lightweight division for Beneil. You could give him Ruffy, but I think Ruffy's gonna fight way sooner than Beneil's gonna be ready for that. So I think Klein, with his ankle being absolutely obliterated, is on better like they're on a similar schedule. And I think Ludovic would like this matchup because I think he would probably think he destroys Beneil and then is introduced to the rankings, and then you can shoot Ludovic Klein up the rankings. And I like Ludovic, so I want him in the rankings. So yeah, those are my matchups. Let me know what you think, and I will see you soon.